Something I was especially proud of this past year was definitely getting my license. So back in August of 2022, I was I had just completed my driver's ed courses and I was planning on taking my driver's ed test. And so when I took the written, I passed, which was also a very big accomplishment. But it had taken me a while to schedule my driving test in person. And so finally, when I mustered up the courage to do it, I planned it for August 15th. And at the time, my permit would expire the next week after that. So if I didn't pass this driver's test, I would basically have no license and I would have to take my permit test again because it would have been expired. So with this, I definitely was very stressed out and I was hoping and praying that my driver's test would go perfectly fine so I wouldn't have to get another permit because I definitely waited too long. So I scheduled it for the 15th of August and it was around 8 a.m. So I woke up pretty early at like 7 and I pretty much was just stressed out the entire morning. I mean, I was pacing around the house. Went to the restroom maybe 5+ times. I was very nervous and my hands were sweating. And that day my dad was off of work, so he was able to go with me. And so I got into his car because I didn't have a car at the time. So I got into his car and I drove to the DMV. And the whole way there, I was just very nervous. I mean, I was clutching the wheel. I was just sweating. And my dad was just saying that it was going to be okay and that it was going to be a breeze and that I have nothing to worry about. So when I got to the DMV, I went inside. There wasn't a huge line, so that was good because we got there pretty early. And so we sit down and I wait for my name to be called. And the whole time I'm just looking around at all the other people that are trying to take the test. And I just see how other people just seem very confident. And I was just incredibly nervous. So they finally call my name and I get into the car and I start up the car and I pull around to where I have to wait for the instructor to come. And so before that happens, there's about 2 cars ahead of me and they're just doing the routine, doing the hand signals, finding out where everything is. And I remember when I was waiting in the car, the instructor tells you to honk the horn. And so someone honked the horn and I was so scared that I had jumped because I was so nervous that it had taken me completely off guard. And I realized that I was probably at the most stressed out I've been in a while. So I finally get up to the place where the instructor comes in. And so I do all the hand signals, everything goes well. And then they tell my dad to get out of the car and the instructor comes in, introduces themselves and says that we're going to begin the test. So just before then, I had complimented the instructor's earrings because I thought they were really cool. So I thought maybe that would give me a shot, that maybe they would like me enough just to grant me this license. Don't know why I thought that at the time, but I really thought that would work. So as the instructor was explaining the test, they said that there was no talking and that the only time that I could talk was to just reiterate the directions. And so as we continue with the test, I was driving and I made it out of the DMV without hitting the curb, which was definitely one of my worries because one of my friends actually, when they were taking their driving test, they pulled out and they hit the curb and they told them to go back because they had failed. And so thankfully I didn't hit the curb. And so we start driving and the instructor tells me to turn on this street. But it was such a small street that I didn't even realize that the street was there. And so I almost completely missed it until she basically had to yell at me to turn. And so finally I turn. I'm pretty nervous. I feel like I might fail the test. And then we pull around to the DMV and she says that I passed. And I felt like a huge weight lifted off of my shoulders. And I felt like I could just breathe and I finally felt just comfortable. And so after that, I get out of the car and I go to my dad and I say, I passed. I feel great. We go inside, we figure out everything, we fill out paperwork, and then I get in the car and I drive home. And that was something I was very proud of this past year. Thank you.